NACM Connect for giving us this opportunity to spend this afternoon with the audience here. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And we're going to talk about hyperautomation in accounts receivable operations. Excuse me. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat here. Okay, here I am, Veena Gudavelli. I'm the founder and CEO of Emagia. And as Lillian mentioned, over the last 25 years, I've spent my time delivering technology for order-to-cash operations. I'm passionate about bringing digital technologies to help order-to-cash teams and help companies unlock millions in their order-to-cash processes. With that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dexter Peavy. Over to you, Dexter.
Thank you, Veena. My name is Dexter Peavy. As you see, I'm the Director of Order-to-Cash Transformation for Emagia. Like Veena, I've spent the last 25 years in the order-to-cash space in many capacities. But what I really like is giving our customers a tangible benefit at the end of the day. And order-to-cash can do that. Veena is going to talk about the hyper-automation of the order-to-cash cycle, and that's something where we not only are giving you the best practices of improving cash flow, but today also showing you some of the more the newer tools that are available out there. Thank you, Veena. Take it away.
Excellent. So a little bit of introduction on Emagia before we dive into the session here. At Emagia, we deliver global digital order-to-cash cloud services. These are systems that provide automation, analytics, and AI, all coming together to bring efficiencies in order management, credit management, invoicing, collections, deductions, cash applications, and digital payments. That's what we do. And our claim to fame is the way we bring in automation, analytics, and AI, the digital trifecta, to bring hyper efficiency in the process. Today, we're going to share some of our learnings in the process and the knowledge that we have gained through our journey of building these systems. Again, hyper automation is primarily aimed at bringing world-class business metrics for order-to-cash operations. And we'll talk about some of these individual components and metrics as we advance for the in this webinar. So with that, a little bit on our credibility and track record. We've deployed our systems in several countries, multiple languages, multiple companies, and processing several billions of AR on our system. Now, coming to today's topic, very important topic. This is on hyper automation, and we're going to talk about what is hyper automation and what does this mean for order to cash efficiency and your journey to get to best practices. And then finally, we're going to talk about planning for hyper automation. The key question here is, why are we talking about hyper automation and why is it important for order to cash teams to understand hyper automation? According to Gartner, the latest digital technology trends are already reaching maturity levels, and they're crossing typical critical tipping point, which means that we can no longer ignore what these technologies are. These technologies are changing our lives, changing our workspace, changing our work, and they're changing our future, both in terms of our daily lives as well as our careers. So this is important to understand, what all of this means and how this is changing the order to cash landscape. With that, let me get started. First and foremost, today, as we stand here, post-pandemic, life has changed. Life has changed everywhere. And especially within the enterprise, life has changed. Companies are looking, to go more and more digital and more automated. This change, has been accelerated by the pandemic. And for all of us sitting here in the accounts receivable space, in the credit and collection space, in the order to cash space, life has changed. And what it is going to be in the future is going to be very different. Our roles have changed. Our operations will be changing. Our processes will be changing. So it's really important for us to sit and understand what's going on and what is going to be life ahead. So with that, one of the key premise to all of this is more and more, with digitization and AI, being our, the fourth industrial revolution, AI is being brought in as a new electricity within every process. And what does this mean for us is what we need to understand. It brings in the promise of efficiency, brings in the promise of, bringing down cost and empowering the staff with a lot more, tools that they can, increase productivity. So that's the future that's in store for us. So let's try to understand what this means and how can we adapt to this change and how can we not only survive in this change, but thrive in this change. So with that, let's look at, what is driving change. And, again, the drivers are very clear by now for all of you. Just to put out some statistics out there, these are some numbers from, Gartner, the industry, the industry research assistant analyst. And according to them, finance, has to be faster and better. And that's the pressure that all of us in finance are facing. And 73% of the survey respondents said that that's one of the primary drivers, why they're looking at automation. Shared services, have responded that many of them have been asked to do more and with less budgets, right? So that's a common theme that's going on across the board. Also, in terms of business models, a lot of front office business models are changing. Companies are, going after digital customers and digital business models. What that means is in the back office, especially in the order to cash, credit to cash, we can no longer afford to have the cycle times and the efficiency levels that we had pre-pandemic. We are now forced to adapt and do things a lot more faster. And especially with all of us working from home and working from wherever we are, it's important for us now to get to have access to tools and empower us, to be able to do things a lot more faster and better and do more value addition. So with that, let's discuss this topic, hyper automation. What is this term hyper automation? We've all heard about automation. We have heard about business process automation, but what is this hyper automation? This hyper automation term was first coined not long ago, just about a couple of years back, by this IT research firm and advisory firm, Gartner. Gartner calls, hyper automation as, a set of digital technologies, creating, a hyper efficiency in the process. We'll talk a little bit about, what that, technologies and how this all comes together. But before that, why are they talking about hyper automation? What Gartner says is hyper automation has shifted from being an option to a condition of survival, which means that it's no longer an option. This is the way of direction for companies, and they have to adapt to hyper automation. The shift towards hyper automation will be a key factor enabling enterprises to achieve operational excellence and subsequently cost savings in a digital first world. That's a very important statement. In order to achieve world-class business process performance, you now have to consider hyperautomation. By 2024, more companies will be adopting hyperautomation, and it brings the promise of reducing, at least 30%, or in many cases, a lot more, operational cost reduction and efficiency gains. To the right, you see this Gartner's top strategic technology trends for 2021. Every year, Gartner publishes, what are some key technologies that are, tipping, the operations. And hyper automation is ranked the #1. And this is where I think it's really important for all of us to understand what is hyper automation and why should we care for this. So let's try to understand what is hyper automation. Hyper automation is the application of a combination of technologies to improve a process. It's the application of some of the technologies like robotic process automation, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and business process automation, all coming together in ways to help and augment existing staff, meaning giving them power to do more, and also automating processes in a way that are significantly faster and better than any of the systems that you have seen in the past. So, think of it, from a changes in your everyday life. If you were, driving, your traditional car, and the world is now moving towards self-driving cars. So the kind of automation, the kind of technology that is going in, and the benefits, that it will eventually bring in is enormous. So similarly, enterprise systems are also moving towards bringing benefits of the automation. So with this, let's go to understanding some of these technologies. First and foremost, RPA. What is RPA? Robotic process automation. We've all heard these terms, and some of you may be using RPA in your companies. What robotic process automation does is basically mimics a set of activities, such as screen inputs. If you have to go log into a particular system, for example, if you have to log into your SAP system and do a data entry, copying information from an Excel spreadsheet onto that particular screen. It's a very repetitive activity. Take a cell out of your Excel spreadsheet, take the data from that, and do a data entry into, let's say, a cash application screen on, SAP. So that repetitive activity today can be mimicked by robotic process automation. A simple bot can simply, take information from the Excel spreadsheet and go make data entry into an SAP system. So robotic process automation operates at a screen level. It operates more, in terms of, scraping of the, screen or information on the screen. Typical uses of such order to cash bots in order to cash is primarily for either using data entry or data posting into your ERP systems, or gathering information from portals. So
reimagine order to cash workforce with digital assistant, 24/7 customer interaction and staff interaction with our digital assistant.
Okay, so let's look at the order to cash usage of bots. Bots can be used for data entry purposes. As I mentioned, take an Excel spreadsheet and do the data entry into your SAP system or Oracle system. That can be done. Data gathering. For example, if you have a customer, customer portal where you have to get information from the customer portal on when is a payment, posted, or what are the deductions or claims coming in from that particular customer. All of that can be brought in by a bot, and enter into the system. So that level of, reaching out to a website, scraping the website, converting that into data, that can be automated by bots. Other simple usages are data verification. For example, if you want to verify a business license of a customer, this is where you go to, let's say, for example, California government website, and you put the information about a particular company, and the site gives you, yes, this company has a valid business license, or no, does not have a valid business license. That sort of a data verification can easily be done by bots. So, again, the key things about these bots are they can only do repetitive information, meaning, you just program them to do a series of steps, and they can only do the same thing over and over again. Anything changes, the bots cannot do. So this is, again, a brief explanation of what a robotic process automation bots are. And companies are increasingly using this, to, automate, some of these very repetitive functions. Typically, these are used in business process automation, areas. You have your shared services. These operations, when they're using massive amounts of data, they're operating that data, with bots. Next.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next piece of technology, which is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence, ability to sense, reason, make a conversation, read a document, or learn from the experience. These are, again, a lot of abilities that we're talking about. But today, artificial intelligence, it's a vast subject, and it has so many different elements in artificial intelligence that is making programs and digital assistants able to do certain things that human beings are able to do, such as take information from your ERP systems and answer, for example, just like your Siri, you ask Siri, hey Siri, what's the weather like? Siri is able to answer some questions. So like that, in order to cache, today with the digital assistants, you will be able to ask questions, such as, hey, did this customer send the payment? And the digital assistant should be able to check in the reports and give the information back to you saying, yes, we received the payment, or no, we did not receive the payment. Today, artificial intelligence is also used to read documents. One of the big problems in the finance document processing, especially in order to cash, when you have a lot of remittances coming in, you have emails, coming in from customers, for example. All of that, processing of all of that, what we call as unstructured data that is coming, in the form of, emails, in the form of documents. It takes a lot of people to read that and process that, which is very time consuming. Today, with artificial intelligence, the application of digital assistants.
Reimagine order to cash workforce with digital assistants, 24/7 customer interaction and staff interaction with our digital assistant, Gia.
So today with the artificial intelligence, we are able to have digital assistants, that can read documents, that can identify any specific communication from the customers in emails, and are able to process, right? So that's a again, very generalized information. Now let's look at the third component of hyperautomation, which is machine learning. What is machine learning? Machine learning is that piece of digital technology that can look at all of the data from the past. For example, all the payments from your customers, or all the deductions, all the claims, all the receipts of your customers. And then they're able to find out a pattern. They're able to find out that, hey, most likely this customer is going to pay you, somewhere between, 45th day to, 57th day, or, just giving a range, right? So most likely they will come back to you on, here is what's happening, with the behavior. So that's machine learning, deals with data and tries to find patterns, right? So typically you can use this sort of information in terms of reports, dashboards, or analytics, that you can, play around with and find out what's happening, with the accounts receivable trends, your aging reports, your, collection activities, which collector is, collecting how much, and what's happening, right? So all of that you will be able to understand in an advanced level. And this is more than typically what you find in your traditional Excel-based type of reports. With this, you'll be able to drill down, find out a lot more details, etc. So all of that happens in machine learning.
Reimagine global order to cash, digital insights, the new normal.
Very sorry about the. Okay. So coming to the next element, which is the business process automation. Business process automation. So we have seen, over the last, decades or 2 decades, we have seen a standard business process automation, right? You can set up a collection strategy. You can set up a, dispute workflow, for example. You can set up some rules on cash application. You can also set up some, credit decisioning rules. All of that, when you draw a flow chart of, here is how you're going to make a decisions. All of that, today can be automated by business process automation. So we all know business process automation, since over a decade now. Right? Most collection systems, most order to cash systems, have an element of business process automation. So now let's get right into what does this mean? Now that we have, talked about 4 different things, we have talked about RPA, robotic process automation, doing, one specific task. We've talked about, adding digital assistants, which can talk and read and all of that. And then we've talked about, business process automation, which is, setting up your collection strategies, workflows, and all of that. So when all of this come together, right? So that's where, the hyper automation, starts showing the effects. So according to Gartner, the path to hyper automation this is like a 3-fold, right? The first is a simple task automation, right? Very simple. I want to verify business license. I just want a simple bot for verifying business license. So if you're in the first maturity level, where, you're just using it for, a very simple automation, you can focus only on task automation. Then if you want a larger impact, that's when you move, towards process automation with, AI, bringing in the chatbots, bringing in virtual assistants, and, providing that support, of, not only for you when you're working on certain things, to be able to find things faster, to be able to do things a lot more faster, you can use digital assistants. And the third is when you're combining your collection strategies to use bots, to use digital assistants, and to use analytics in ways to change your collection strategies, for example. That is when you will lead to hyper automation. And we'll talk about, a little more on how this can all come together. But this is the path that is accelerating a lot more faster. All of these terms and technologies have existed not long ago, just since the last, few years. And now with the new set of, order to cash systems, these systems are bringing hyper automation to you in a very packaged manner. And this is where I think will help you understand how do we take it there, right? So hyper automation brings in the power of all of these, 4 different digital technologies at one place to be able to give you efficiency that creates exponential impact. What does this mean? One, hey, if you have digital assistants helping you, you will have, better employee satisfaction. If you have, some of these, process automation, set up in various different ways, you'll have greater compliance, reduced risk, you'll have greater productivity, you have accurate insights, all of those aspects, right? You'll get all of the benefits, of what automation brings in. And this is where hyper automation means you're gaining hyper efficiency and hyper effectiveness. But what does that mean, from a business point of view? According to Gartner, when you go from a simple task automation or a simple business process automation to putting in this hyper automation, suddenly, the value that this brings in, in terms of business outcomes, improved cash flow, reduced, cost of operations, improved efficiency, all of that gives a much greater impact. And we'll see how this impacts, order to cash workflow. One of the big benchmarks that Hackett Group has done on bringing in digital technologies to finance departments, and what is the advantage that it produces, right? A world-class digital performance gains over 60% advantage, both in terms of cost reduction as well as efficiency gains and effectiveness. All of that is proven out there. They've written a very beautiful white paper on how digital brings in these efficiencies and why this is way forward for the future. And we'll also talk about what does this mean for the existing workforce and how you can upskill and thrive in this environment, right? So with this, let's talk about how you can apply hyperautomation, the automation, analytics, and AI. And I'll hand this over to Dexter to walk you through how we apply all of these technologies to order to cash. Over to you, Dexter.
Thank you, Veena. Really is where can you utilize hyperautomation and apply it to your order to cash cycle? And actually, you can use it everywhere. One does not need to use it from credit all the way through to collection. But as one moves up that the Hackett chart there, ranging from one process to all processes, one does gain quite a bit of efficiencies. And the goal is to automate as much of the repetitive, as much of the simple tasks as possible. And this can be be accomplished very simply in the credit side of the fence, which we actually will have a slide on several of these after this shot. But throughout the entire order to cash cycle, you can achieve tremendous automation. And some of the areas that are extremely hot right now, as Veena has mentioned, are utilizing the digital assistants throughout the entire process. Cash application is extremely, even though we've had tremendous gains over the last 15 years in cash application seems to be an area that people and companies are focusing back again on. Deductions for the CPG industry, automating as much of the deduction process as possible. And by that, I mean not only identifying deductions, predicting deductions that customers will take, taking the capturing external documents such as bill of ladings and proof of deliveries for short shipments or concealed shortages. So the whole gamut in the deduction space for CPG has changed tremendously. Invoicing, sending out electronic payments, having your invoices, having your customers pay right there online. So there's quite a bit that can occur in the order to cash cycle. And we've seen a tremendous a shift over the last year in the COVID world, and it's been a very productive shift. Veena, next slide. Click. Okay. So one of the greatest tools in the entire order to cash cycle. Obviously, we have the artificial intelligence and automation that Vina's been talking about, but the digital assistant you can see here, Emagia's digital assistant is Gia. You, of course, are familiar with Siri and Alexa and some of those that we might use at our homes. But we've seen that shift from the consumer world to the business world. And throughout the entire order to cash cycle, digital assistants are not only helping you internally within your organization, but externally with your customers. Next slide, Vina. So as I said, credit is an area where you truly can achieve 100% hyper automation. That doesn't mean that the human touch has disappeared. What it means is it frees up time for the human to handle activities where their skills are needed. So they're really, we're shifting from the mundane mailing out of a credit app, filing a credit app, to the putting all the data into an Excel spreadsheet and coming up with a score, and then discussing it with your boss, and then maybe having the CFO approve it because it's greater than $1 million. All of these traditional tasks in credit, from a digital credit app to the decisioning and to the monitoring, have all been automated. And combining many of these tools, you in a sense could have a hyper automated credit department. And today you can literally have a credit app from soup to nuts, from the beginning to the end, sent, scored, retrieved, filed, routed for approval, all within the matter of minutes. Collections, of course, is an area that we all focus on because cash is king. But the ability for customers to receive and pay invoices, to receive those invoices on their portal. Some of your customers might have Ariba or Italia, things of that nature, where you're inputting those invoices into their portals. Well, that is, as some of you probably know, is a very time-consuming event. You have to keep passwords, write the process down, etc. But today we want to send those invoices to the portal so that the portal automatically receives it, you automatically send it, it automatically gets paid. And if you haven't been paid, you can look it up. You can go into the portal and it will tell you exactly where the invoice stands, what the issues are, etc. Equally important is the other side of the fence. When will my customers pay me? Well, with hyper automation, we can show and predict when a customer will be paying you. Then you sum up all of your customers, you sum up all of your business units, et cetera, around the world. The Treasury and CFO and other upstream functional areas know exactly what the incoming cash flow is. And that, as many of us know, is something we've all been told. What's the incoming cash going to be like this week? What's going to be like this month? Well, today, with very, very fine accuracy, up to 90+% accuracy, you'll know that weeks in advance. So again, a powerful tool. Digital assistants become a tool, and the tool that the greatest use for digital assistant in credit is as we show here, the 80-20 rule. If a collector has 5,000 accounts, that collector can't get to all 5,000 accounts, and they're probably stratified A, B, and C type of accounts, and the 80-20 rule comes into play. Utilize the digital assistant to send an email where the customer can click, get a copy, read the copy of the invoice or invoices or statement, also click again, make a payment, or if there's something wrong with the invoice, click and describe what the dispute or why we're deducting so many dollars, or make a promise to pay. So the digital assistant has a wonderful role to assist your collectors in achieving their goals with tremendous accuracy, and most importantly, freeing up their time for the key accounts. And of course, we all see with our own personal lives, self-service portals, customers adapt, especially new customers, adapt to customer portals, customer care portals. And self-service is the way of the future, and it is nothing to be neglected anymore. Next slide, Vina. Cash application, I said, is probably the hottest area out there. Gia again Gia, or the digital assistant, plays a tremendous role out there. Gia Docs is the ability to read, remit to information in any format, in the body of an email. Sometimes you receive these, sometimes your customers attach statements in an Excel, but the ability to read structured data from the bank, whether it be ACHs or wires, to unstructured data such as place check number 123 for $1,000 to this invoice. So a highly skilled hyper tool, and that is existing and working beautifully. We really want in all cash application, the higher the hit rate, the more accurate the cash reporting, posting, and the more time to research those items that really do need human intervention or customer intervention. But also a digital assistant can play a role there too. Often if we don't know where that money's going, we call up the customer. Well, you can utilize a digital assistant to do the same thing. For CPG and for actually most industries, deductions are a huge issue. And a day's deductions outstanding is a metric that many of us probably monitor, and you want to shorten that cycle down, but it really starts up front in cash application. So with the tools today, you can identify and predict the deductions that your customers will be taking, route those right from cash application to the prescribed resolution team, follow that process, and it has bypassed the collector. It has gone right into a workflow. Of course, accepting payments from various types of sources. As we see the world is changing, the payment world is changing tremendously, and the ability to accept payments in multiple formats, multiple methods is very important as time goes on. Next slide, Vina. So really what we're getting here is we are shifting the traditional work to robotic process automation, to artificial intelligence, to hyper automation. But we're really, in the same way, we're freeing up the human focus to shift from transaction processing to analytics, to management, and then to partnering. We all want to see our DSOs, our cash flow, our bad debt, all improve. And the name of the game is really steady improvement is really the most important. One does not get to 99% perfection instantly, but amazingly, in 3-4 months' time, the systems are tremendous learning devices and can move your back end order to cash processes from good to great. And here is where artificial intelligence has taken over. Reporting, the ability to predict, the ability to analyze, and then target the areas that need improvement, need help, maybe need more people, are very important. That's all right. And with the analytics that are available today, one can pinpoint the areas that do need that human intervention, the lean process activities, whether it be in disputes is obviously the perfect example, but you can drill down and roll up, but we'll go to that slide, Vina. Bottom line is data is key, but the predictive abilities that we have today make that data more functional and useful for you. Okay. Digital cash assistants, as we started and have said throughout, are here. We see them in our daily lives, but they're now coming to they are now slowly becoming entrenched in the business world and the credit side of the fence all the way to customer self-service portals. But they play a tremendous role and can play a tremendous role to assist your existing staff to help, especially scalability. If your company is in the acquisition mode, chances are we'll bring in a company, but we're not going to bring in too many more people to help out in collections. So a digital assistant comes into play there as well. So wherever you are in the order to cash cycle, think not replacement, but the ability to scale your business as well as to concentrate and spend your efforts on the issues that are truly important or with key accounts or where human intervention is needed. Next slide, Vina. Vina?
Yes. Yes.
So here's an example of a very large global organization. They're in the technology space. They are utilizing hyper-automation in a good part of their order-to-cash cycle. What's interesting is they're in 70 countries. So we have the ability to communicate or correspond with customers around the world in multiple languages, the ability to apply remit to information that comes in German, French, English, Spanish, you name it. The ability to shift the focus from transactions to analysis and management. They have had tremendous success and surprisingly, even during COVID, but really the ability to reach all of their customers. And that is truly a wonderful thing. You know, if you think about the order to cash organization, I've done studies in the past where the collection staff has more contact with the customers than the sales folks. So really what you're providing here not only is collection and credit, et cetera, but you're providing as a company highly just excellent customer service. And by providing customer service, solving problems that need your attention, you're keeping a customer. You're going to improve their average days to pay. You're going to bring it down. You're going to minimize your risk, but you'll be in communication at all times with all of your customers. And that is well worth the utilization of hyperautomation and digital assistance. Vina, why don't you talk about those two books?
Thank you, Dexter. So, well, we've almost, reached the final slides here. For those of you who are looking at how digital technologies are changing and what does this mean for our everyday, process and workplace. These are couple of interesting books. There are a lot more books out there, but I just wanted to put this out there, interesting reads. And this will give you insight as to, how the future is shaping up with the robots, AI, and automation and workplace for all of us. So with that, let me take a pause and love to take some questions and see if we can provide you some additional information.
Vina, if you click on Q&A, Debbie Dix, I can't see her last name, has asked a question and it says, please compare your product now to say 10 years ago and to the current versions of Get Paid.
So Debbie, first of all, thank you for the question. I'll be happy to answer, but I'd be happy to answer that in a different forum. Today is an educational forum from NACM. NSEM Connect, and I think the product comparisons are something that we'll be happy to answer to you on a different forum. I'd like to respect the NSEM Connect Educational Forum. Thank you. Any other question?
I don't see anything coming in. Anybody going once, going twice? Okay, thank you both very, very much. Vina and Dexter will be back again with us next month, and July 13th, I believe. And we look forward to that. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian, and thank you so much, NSEM Connect, for giving us this opportunity to share information. We look forward to the next session.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Okay. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Lillian.